I only have so much I can do. Return on investment, banker terms, New York Stock Exchange. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about emotional ROI and triaging your personal bandwidth. All right. Join me as I dive deep into the things that might secretly be draining my emotional energy, and let's see if I can uncover some surprising, I don't know, truths. Emotional energy. It's a vital part of our daily lives, and yet we often take it for granted. Some do. I absolutely do not. Um, it's what drives us to pursue our passions. It's what gets us out of bed, build meaningful relationships, and tackle new challenges. However, when our emotional energy is depleted, it can affect every aspect of our lives, from our mental health to our productivity and overall well-being. So, we've all been there, feeling exhausted, drained, and just plain emotionally spent. And but have you ever actually stopped to think about what to do with that, and kind of what is the right thing to do with that? Is it are we supposed to just suck it up and do things we don't want to do, or what stage in life are we at? What situation or relationship are we in? And are they just sucking the life out of us, leaving us feeling depleted and powerless? And let's not just forget about burnout and that feeling of complete emotional exhaustion that makes us want to just give up and retreat from the world. Which brings me to this question: is emotional return on investment and triaging your personal bandwidth. And so for those who don't know what triaging is, it's a thing I'm fascinated with. In fact, Jeff, I'm going to wave at the camera to remind me here. Add something to do with triage in the shop. Ooh, I have a shop. I do. I'll put a thing here or something linking it to where you can buy shop stuff that are very big Jeffisms. I will be adding triage now. Moving on. So triaging your personal bandwidth. And so what triage means in like combat or in EMS is you pick the victims or the casualties that you have a chance at saving. So if you have a guy laying there that got shot in the calf, you leave him alone. He can deal with it. You see a guy that was shot in the head that still is breathing. Sadly, you leave him alone because you can't do anything about something that's been shot in the head. The guy that's been shot in the chest, you have a chance of saving, or somebody that has like an arterial bleed in his femoral artery, you have a chance of saving. So triage is just this ruthless decision-making process. I literally have the tattoo of the word triage on my arm, not for some weird paramedic EMS thing, but more of a reminder of a ruthless prioritization, of things in life that matter. And that's what brings me to this video, is emotional ROI. And actually, I'm at a stage in life and I'm curious. Please comment below. Tell me what y'all think. If anybody else is in a stage in life where they actually factor into their decision-making matrix the return on the investment of an event or a gathering or some sort of task or whatever. Obviously there's responsibilities in doing the right thing and making sure you keep your end of deals or chores or tasks or responsibilities. But let's say this is in a vacuum and you have events or things that you're just like, it's basically the pro con list. Remember when your mom made you make a pro and con list? It's basically that. It's if that list has more cons than pros, the emotional ROI is not worth it. Because if you and there's a point I think in life, whether it's age, cancer trying to kill you, things in life trying to kill you. I wonder who this is about. Where you go, you know what? This isn't worth it. I'm going to say no. And obviously you need to make sure you're doing responsibilities, but when we live in a society where, ironically, I think as a whole, if people were to evaluate society, they would think people are very narcissistic and self-centered. But I think there's a lot of times people say yes at their own emotional fallout. And I'm not saying be narcissistic and self-centered and a dick, but I am thinking that there is a point where you it's fine to evaluate the emotional ROI and the bandwidth, and when you triage the personal bandwidth to see if it's something you can handle. Like, the older you get, obviously this is a little self-reflective, but um, stress in particular, it can have a profound impact on our emotional energy. And so if we're constantly stressed and our bodies are constantly flooded with cortisol, that is a hormone that can suppress our immune system and it disrupts our mood. And then this can lead to feelings of anxiety, irritability, and depression. And that cycle can just keep looping and looping and looping. So if you keep doing stuff that stresses you out and keep doing things you don't want to do, that takes away from your emotional RO or has a disproportionate emotional ROI, these can all just be this constant downward spiral of emotional energy drains. So negative relationships can be like that. They can be an emotional vampire just sucking the life out of you. And it doesn't have to be like a romantic relationship. It can be friends and family, people you love that could just be sucking your life away. And that's, to be clear, a little disclaimer in parentheses, not my family, not Betty's family. They're amazing. But burnout, career burnout, life burnout, those are just a whole new level of emotional exhaustion. And that gives you this feeling of being completely drained emotionally and physically with no energy to give. So when you're down to that scraping the barrel for energy and emotional verve, you have to pick your battles. And I argue that's where you get that personal bandwidth, that triaging of your personal bandwidth, and that ruthless evaluation of emotional ROI. And as always, do I have an answer? I absolutely do not. So how can we start reclaiming our emotional energy and living more balanced and fulfilling? If you've been with me for long enough, the following answer is fuck if I know. I mean, for one, we can start practicing self-compassion and treating ourselves with kindness and understanding and patience, which to me is saying no. And it is a slippery slope. A perfect example, and a huge disclaimer. My future in-laws are amazing. Like, I'm not saying that just because I'm recording this. Like, they are genuinely some of the best people on the planet. Like, I couldn't ask for a more perfect future set of in-laws. All the way from the father, the parents down to the siblings and cousins. It's just struck gold, or whatever the phrase is. But around Thanksgiving, my emotional ROI, my emotional reserves were fumes. And so that's actually where I had a huge, excuse me, speaking of being drained, emotional, I had an evaluation of like, there's a time, you got to do the right thing, but if it's at a cost. I went, but to Betty's credit, compromise implies we had like some sort of horse trading. I just said, hey, I can go like an hour or two, and that's kind of all I got. Can we take separate cars? And she's like, yeah. And yeah, I think that was a pretty good balance to be struck. I know many a time people do things they don't want to do, and it's under the guise of doing the right thing or because you're supposed to. But why is that? Where on that emotional ROI, what do you get out of that? It's not like you're sucking up to a boss at a networking event where you're looking for a promotion. So I don't know. It's time to learn to say no to things that drain our energy and yes to the things that nourish our minds, bodies, and souls. And in theory, we can cultivate a sense of, purpose and meaning in our lives, whether through our work, our relationships, or our passions. And as always, I leave you with the thoughts and none of the answers. So we explore the common factors that contribute to emotional energy drain, stress, crappy relationships, burnout, lack of boundaries. And does this provide us some sort of powerful insight that helps us reclaim our emotional energy and start living a more balanced, fulfilling life? It creates a to-do list. It creates some sort of evaluational lenses to perceive the world through, because I don't know, like, I'm not trying to say it's all about me, but it's my channel, so it is. But there's something about, being in a exhausted, purposeless, dark, beat down phase and having get, quote unquote survived cancer that makes you kind of go, what the fuck really matters? And yeah, in the movies, what matters is traveling the world and seeing your family. Those are all great and all, but those all require money. Like I'm talking about the other side of what matters, the stuff you don't need to keep doing. Yeah, what matters is seeing family and doing all that shit. That the cliche movie montage things like prioritizing what matters. Do bills matter over, walks with your girl and your dog and in the country? No. But do the things we keep doing. Oh my god. The yawning doesn't help my argument. So it's I don't know. As always, I pose the questions and you have to figure it out yourself. So thanks for watching. Please, I would love to hear in your comments below, what are your thoughts? I reply to everything. What are some things you found to be draining on your emotional energy and how have you overcome them? Do you already have this emotional ROI triaging of your personal bandwidth? Do you have any sort of system already in place? If you do, please share it. I'm very curious and let me know. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, comment, blah, blah, blah. And now, do not forget, I now have a shop where I'm now going to add something to do with triage to various things and make requests. The link is in the description below as well. As far for the shop, there's everything from hats to beanies to mugs. And basically there are just some Jeffisms that I've slowly cultivated and realized I'm pretty self-aware. I know what I say and I might not know. Betty, when I gave her the homework and I said, hey, what are some things I say that we can put on some marketing and some shop stuff? And some of it wasn't appropriate. So, but if there's stuff you all's eyes and ears have seen or heard from me that you think would be a funny like catchphrase or Jeffism that you would want on some sort of swag or merchandise, let me know below. But yeah, thanks for listening. And I got to come up with a sign off, which I do not have. So until another time, take care.